All right, we've started the recording. I just want to welcome everybody to the 13th AMA on our Discord. That's the Crypto DGen Discord. With us today, we have the team from Goldmint Finance. These guys are a team that I personally do stand behind. I'm invested in the protocol, and of course, you know we're in talks quite frequently. Pretty genuine guys, and obviously, you know, hopefully you guys will see that throughout the AMA as well. I just want to make a quick mention for those of you that have just joined us from Goldmint's Discord or from anywhere else. I just want to give you guys a nice warm welcome to the Crypto DGen Discord. If you guys have questions and you're unaware of how to ask those questions, we have a questions channel dedicated for that. If you guys look on the left side of the Discord and scroll down, you'll see a channel called Question Silvermint. Feel free to post any of your questions in that channel, as I do try my best to keep the general chat clean during the AMA, just so that we don't miss any of the questions. Now, before I keep on rambling, because you guys know I love talking, how about I give you guys the floor and you guys can introduce yourselves a little bit.
Right on. Thanks, CD. Thanks for having us. I'm Vu. I'm the founder of Goldmint. My co-founder Doc's up here, as well as our two lead operations guys, Monkey and Cripsom. We run a project called Goldmint Finance that is also expanding into its second token, Silvermint Finance, right now. We've been running this project for about 5 months, and it's been a pretty crazy 5 months in DeFi to launch a protocol. I had said it first, if I had a time machine, I'd have launched it any other time in history besides when we did. But it actually ended up working out pretty well for us, and it's been a good ride after all. So we're doing well. We're a seigniorage style protocol, which means we have like tomb mechanics. We're based off of tomb finance. We've added a lot to the ecosystem on top of that to kind of round it out. And we've done something really special by pegging to gold and now pegging to silver. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the AMA, but I'll let the other guys jump on and introduce themselves.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name's Doc. I'm the co-founder, as Vu said. Really, my expertise or what I do with Goldmint. I'm involved in our angel group of investors. I'm a large investor myself. I think also specifically my role is to help manage our Dow in support of Goldmint and now Silverman as well. So really, really glad to be here, and thanks for having us, CD.
Absolutely, man. It's a pleasure.
I'm Monkey, I guess, operations guy. I kind of help run a little bit of everything from the server to like the docs to the operation, like pretty much a little bit of everything. I'm around. I like to hang out in other Discord servers too, so you might find me, Currencies server over in Grape or AEQ, stuff like that. And yeah, I just like being in DeFi.
Hey everybody, this is Zach. I actually go by Cripsom in Discord. So how do I help out with Goldmint? Well, I've been on the team for a little while now. I kind of came in with the idea of helping structure partnerships and trying to bring any sort of help that my connections, I guess any sort of help that I can bring with my connections. And with those connections, we have some partnerships as well with different protocols. I kind of try to help out with graphic design. I helped out with the Silvermint stuff. Been helping out with the operations as well, and structure how we're going to do this Silvermint stuff. Everybody's been involved in that as well. I have a podcast called Bridge the Gap. I'm on a bunch of other servers as well. You might see me in like Grape, Equinox. Gosh, put me on the spot here. Grape Equinox. I mean, even some of the other protocols I'm involved in is like El Taco Finance. Goodness gracious, so many different ones. But excited for the future of Silvermint. And we also have some pretty cool things coming up that we haven't really talked about. So I just try to help facilitate with anything I can with the team and try to be there to help answer questions when I can.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. And I must say, Zach, your microphone is crisp AF, bro, making me feel some kind of way. But well, without further ado, let's sorry, go ahead. All right, sorry. Okay. I thought you said something.
Oh, it's all good. I just said thanks.
No problem. But yeah, guys, so if you look in the Question Silverman channel, there's obviously been lots of questions that have been proposed. And we're going to start with the first one proposed, or the first block of questions that Ayush asked. This guy, man, this guy's got so many damn questions. He just wants to know everything about you guys. So let's get started. The first question is, and you guys feel free to answer however you like. If you each have your own specialities, or as such, you guys can answer that accordingly. But his first question is, since you are the first protocol to peg to silver, or to the price of silver, what are your thoughts on shifting from a seniorage token to real silver-backed protocol?
Yeah, that's a good question. I read through just real briefly when I hopped in. I got to see them, and I thought that was a good start. So that is the reason we're launching Silvermint. Is we believe there are things that are underrepresented on the blockchain. The mechanics of Tomb and a seniorage protocol kind of give us the ability to do that. It would be possible to start a silver-backed token, and I'd love to see somebody start a great one that's on the blockchain. But you have to do it a totally different way. If you look at the token that we kind of love and appreciate the most, which is PAX-G, which is a gold-backed token that's on the Ethereum blockchain, and that's what we use to derive our peg. They're out there and they have something that can be used in DeFi, traded on decentralized exchanges, but they have to go through all that custody stuff. They have to physically hold silver, go through the auditing and things like that. It's a completely different style protocol. So we're also looking for great silver-backed tokens on the blockchain and are likely to use them with pairs and to be held by our DAO, which we'll talk a little bit about. But we're not that likely to become them, to be the person that manages custody, that does vaults and secure transportation and things like that. That's not what we do. And hopefully, as we talk a little bit, you'll get to know what we do. But we're looking to take advantage of the opportunity that seniorage provides to bring silver to the blockchain without having to be the first qualified silver-backed token. We think using the mechanisms of elastic supply and demand, that are provided to us through our protocol, we can kind of represent silver on the blockchain without having to take that direct approach.
Awesome answer. His second question, and by the way, I see that you are in the chat. If you have a follow-up question, which hopefully after 7-8 questions you don't, but if you do, make sure you post it in the channel, as well as if anybody has a question that they want to ask and come on stage, there's a little button where you can with a little hand emoji on it, hand icon. If you click that, I'll be able to bring you on stage. The second question he has is, you have a new whitelist Genesis narrative. Why? How do you see it beneficial for you apart from the treasury getting 0.2 PAX-G?
So this is, I'll expand on this a little bit. It's not actually a new whitelist. So for people who are just learning about us for the first time, we came up with a whitelist when we did our first round of nodes. And we agreed that when we did that, we were going to constantly build off that whitelist and use it for other innovations we had. And we'll talk, a little bit about why we want to have a whitelist for Silvermint Genesis, but this is actually an existing whitelist. A lot of the people who will be participating in Silvermint may have gone on this at a different time. Second super small correction, the price I believe is 0.125 PAX-G. And that is a source of revenue for our protocol. We don't dispute that fact. I think it's important for protocols to have many small, reasonable sources of revenue. I think sometimes people roll out an announcement, especially when you see like these launches before they've had to implement a use case, that there's going to be some grand vision that makes the protocol, millions of dollars right off the bat or something. But really, we found that our revenue has been in just, kind of small increments here and there, not so different from a startup company. And we're able to use that to support the ecosystem. We don't take that revenue and go buy Lambos or Ferraris. There's certainly not enough of it, but we've made buys as necessary using the PAX-G that's came in to support Goldmint. We intend on doing those types of things with Silverman as well, and have used it for things like paying for advertising, salaries, website costs, things like that as well. So it does work out well for us. But the whitelist is also meant to protect us in having good participants. We've been through a tough Genesis before. When you release a high value token on the blockchain for free, it can be quite painful. I know when we came out of our first Genesis, we traded at 0.01 peg. And that won't be that isn't missed or forgot by any members of this team, and most of the people in our community. A ton of them are still here with us today. But we think having a whitelist and having people who care about the system and want to be in it for the long haul is a better way to do Genesis. We've just seen too many of these go bad, over the last several months, and we think it's a good way to protect our current participants and our new participants, from harmful selling and things like that.
Yeah, I just want to add and say it's a good way to, continue to provide value to the current investors and participants in the protocol. Like, these are the people that are here, especially the node holders that were already on the whitelist. Those are, very committed holders of the protocol. So definitely want to help, benefit those users specifically. And a Genesis shouldn't be about just letting other people run in and game it to quickly make a 2x or anything. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm gonna agree with you guys there 100% that, if you're not looking out for the people that have been with you for all these days, you're definitely doing something wrong. So the fact that you are, so the fact that you guys are looking out for those people, and hopefully new people that also participate, is definitely a good thing. Real quickly on the point of Genesis, is I know you guys have some non-native pools. Are they gonna have deposit fees on them?
yes, correct. There will be
Yeah.
one non-native pool, which will be USDC deposit, and that will have a 1% deposit fee. Also expect a very low set of emissions. Obviously, we're going to try and make it maintained so that if you get taxed 1%, you'll probably, hopefully get 1% back in Silvermint instead, or 2% back in Silvermint instead. But we're going to try and help make it not as bad.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so you tell me you're not going to give me my return on investment 100% in the same day? Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Sorry to
Nah,
let
of
you
course
down.
I'm joking. I was just gonna put all my money in it. I was like, this is my lifetime chance. This is my chance. Nah, of course I'm joking.
Not financial advice.
Ayush, his third question is, there is a tax system as well, which didn't do very well in some other protocols. Why did you opt into it? Doesn't it come with a downside as well?
Yeah, that's something we talk about these things quite a bit. It's funny you get asked these questions. We talk about them ourselves before we make these decisions. But there are pros and cons, and there were arguments amongst ourselves, for and against the tax system. But I think in the end, it was an obvious choice that it was going to work out well for Silverman. As I kind of just mentioned in my last answer, it's a new Genesis. It's the issuance of a new token. If someone is picking up this token and ready to be in for the long term, they want to find a way to participate in the ecosystem and participate in the vaults and farms and the different mints that we're going to have, which is like a boardroom. That's our word for a boardroom, the gold mint and the silver mint in our protocol. We're going to make sure that they're getting taken care of. Somebody who wants to just come into the Genesis with, non-native tokens, USDC or something, and just, get as many Silvermint as they can and sell them right away. We wanted to protect ourselves from those type of actions as well. So it is, it scales. It does decrease as we approach PEG. So it's higher the lower the prices. So if there's a series of cells right after Genesis or something like that, that tax increases linearly to kind of protect the PEG more and more as it becomes necessary. And we've also discussed lowering and decreasing that tax over time. But we think doing a Genesis, that is absolutely the way to go. It's going to protect everybody who's in here for the right reasons. You're going to be protected by that tax, in addition to the things, I discussed previously, and probably some other stuff we'll be talking about going forward.
Yeah, personally, I haven't actually seen any other protocols that have implemented like a proper tax structure for a seniorage model. I can't personally think of one, and I've been around for quite a while in the seniorage space. But yeah, I think it's something that'll be kind of new. I mean, I don't want to say like this is our entirely brand new initiative or whatever, because I don't know if it's been done before. But I think it'll turn out really well. Providing more value back to the DAO, as well as helping incentivize people to keep the token trading at PEG. Like, if the lower you bring it, the higher you're going to tax, which is the more money the DAO is going to accrue to be able to help buy back and burn Silvermint or do anything like that. So it took me a little bit of convincing to fight Vu over it to really implement a tax. especially for just like the Genesis. We kind of had a different idea too at first for a different structure of tax, but the dev came back to us and was like, what do you guys think about this? And I was like, I love it. I'm like, this is going to be really cool. And yeah, everything in DeFi is an experiment. So we're going to see how it goes and see how it functions. We believe it'll, do really well. And as we said, we do have the option to change the tax percentages so we can up it and lower it as we see fit for the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. His fourth question, and I know the answer to it, but I'm going to ask you guys anyways, and then maybe you can correct him in regards to the ratios. The fourth question is you changed your peg token ratio as well. So for Goldmint, didn't it incur loss to those who invested at 1-for-1? So when it was at peg with PaxG. Also, with time, if Silvermint loses peg just like Goldmint, will you change its peg as well?
That's a good question.
Those questions go good together, but that
Yeah.
is a slight misunderstanding. So we actually only approached peg very briefly. So we set our original peg at 1 ounce of gold, and we are pegged to 1 gram of gold now. We kind of didn't do like the little rundown of gold.
Mhm.
But for anyone who's being introduced for the first time, we do 1/31st of PaxG, which is a troy ounce of gold, which gives us approximately the price of a gram. And we did initially set out, like Monkey said, it's all an experiment in DeFi to peg to 1 ounce of gold. And it was just unfortunately unrealistic in an extremely difficult market. And it was too much to generate for free. It was generated in a Genesis. There's tokens that have that kind of value like PaxG where everyone is dollar for dollar backed. So there's not going to be that sell off or, bank run of that nature. But it was just too high. But we did not change the peg until the price had actually found the price point where it's at. So once the price hit around $55 to $60, which is in the range that a gram of gold was trading at the time, we made the change to let the ecosystem read that was now acceptable. We figured we had lost most of our early participants who were in on Genesis, and we're kind of looking to make that quick 10x, maybe not the 1 day 10xers, they were already gone, but the people who would see it through for a month or two, but really didn't want to see the long-term vision. We have 2 years of emissions, and we're working for a dividend style token that the Dow pays out based on PaxG holdings, so that we'll actually be emitting a token over time that is 1-to-1 backed, not by gold bars in a vault, but by gold backed tokens, in a vault on the blockchain. That's our core goal and our core purpose. And we're less than a quarter of the way through, to reaching that point. So we wanted to make sure it was set up for the people who were seeing us kind of all the way through to that end run there.
Mm-hmm. And the second half of the question, so also with time, if Silvermint loses peg just like Goldmint, will you change its peg ratios?
So I just want to touch up a little bit on the peg thing too. Like another, like a really good reason why we changed like the Goldmint peg was because the price was at the level that it was at, but it was also because the amount of tokens that we had circulating. For the original peg, we realized we had too many tokens circulating, but with the amount, like with the price that we wanted to hold and with the amount of tokens that we had and with the TVL, it seemed perfect for us to switch the peg. It was like a really good, like fantastic move because mathematically it worked out in like every single factor. So, and obviously because of the Silvermint, because of the Genesis phase and everything and the large dumpers and people, like as Vu said, trying to get that 1 day or 1 month 10x caused us a lot of issues, but we're setting up the Genesis to be a lot different than that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is for Silvermint, what is it going to be pegged to?
It is pegged to 1 ounce of silver, so it is still, going to be a token that trades in the $20 to $30 range. But that's probably part of the reason that hopefully the answer to the second question is no. I guess surprisingly, I guess I would say I wouldn't rule it out if the community saw that as fit, that it needed to be reduced to say like a gram of silver, and they were going to benefit from that. We certainly would allow it. But as Monkey just said, we've set the system up so that it doesn't go that way. And it was also the realization of the appeal of this silver price kind of in that range for a senior age token that made us realize that a similar price point for our gold backed token would also be appealing. So silver is really already at that favorable price point that we think works well. And that Monkey's, kind of expanded on, that we see the right supply and demand curve. So we kind of know how to match that now Silverman, and we didn't have that information at the beginning. It's different running a seniorage protocol like Goldman. We're not trying to mirror to just like a layer 1 or a layer 2 token or something that already exists on the blockchain. We're trying to be able to expand this out and do something different. So finding that right supply and demand is so important, because there's not always going to be a token that we compare against. So we need to be able to kind of create or mimic any value on the blockchain, and ironing out the supply and demand is just a huge part of it.
And a cool thing to note on that too, as well, is we're not actually pegged to a token or a pair on the blockchain. We utilize Chainlink data feeds to call the price of silver in real time at all times to know exactly what our peg should be and like how we should be trading at, because there is no silver token on the blockchain to peg against. So shout out to Chainlink for their data feeds. And yeah,
you guys are officially partnered with them, right?
We're allowed to say we're integrating them, at first, and then once we release the token, we're allowed to say we're partnered with them. I believe was the wording. But we've been messaging them, for months. This was, someone asked this. I hate to jump ahead in the questions, but I think someone asked that too. If this was always part of the vision, and it has been. PaxG was an awesome way to peg to representing gold on the blockchain, but going to silver and then some of the things that we're looking at down the road, we want to use this model to bring things to the blockchain that aren't here yet. We're not going to peg to Phantom. We're going to peg to gold. We're going to peg to silver. We're going to look at things like oil. We're going to look at things like diamonds. We're going to look at things that aren't on the blockchain yet or aren't in an accessible format on the blockchain, and bring those first to the Ethereum network, and then, look to expand out from there.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's really interesting. If you could bring on all these other commodities, it would be really, I think it'd be, really insane, because you'd be the first to actually do that. The fifth question that Ayush has is, you have a very low liquidity since you were underpeg and declining. Now, after the new model, what are your approaches to make back up the liquidity and grow again like OG Goldmint?
Yeah, so that's a good question too. But the question almost answers itself. So when we were shooting for the 1 ounce of gold peg, having liquidity pools, say in between, I don't know what they fluctuated, probably between 25 and maybe 100,000 or something like that in the main Goldmint pool. We might be, around the middle of that right now. Was difficult. There would be huge price impact just moving just 1 or 2 Goldmint tokens out of that liquidity pool. But at the current price and with the current liquidity, we found that the buys and sells of a few more Goldmint have been far, far less impactful than they were at the beginning. I can remember, just early on, just being horrified, seeing just a couple Goldmints sold. And we've really found a healthier ecosystem that's been able to have the right amount of buys and sells, kind of meeting that at near or slightly above peg price point.
It's also good to note, I don't know if a lot of people understand this, but the way your liquidity pool reporting will be with the price of it, because our token was trading at $1,000 plus, it's going to make it seem like our liquidity pool is that much deeper because the price of Goldmint is that much higher. So now that the price has declined to where it is now and where it's found a steady floor, it seems like liquidity is a lot lower because the price of Goldmint has changed quite drastically. But realistically, it's actually kind of similar to where it was a few months ago, and it might actually be slightly better than what it was. It just seemed like we had more because the price of Goldmint was so high.
It's absolutely grown too since we've adjusted the peg ratio. I think when you look around that time, it was in the mid 40s range or so. And most recent, when I looked, it was in the mid 60s range or so. So when you look at percentage based off essentially organic growth from liquidity, we've been very encouraged since we've adjusted the peg ratio.
No,
yeah,
and
that's a great point, Doc.
Yeah. I think I personally, was happy with the peg ratio adjustment, just because of the fact that telling people at 1 ounce of gold, it's quite difficult. People don't want to hold those tokens, and as we said, once they sell it on the market, you get a huge red bar, and you have the community freaking out, and you have a whole other problem just waiting to happen. And everybody else kind of getting scared.
Yeah, we absolutely could have had that direction if we didn't make some necessary changes.
Yeah, yeah. His sixth question is: any plans on shifting on Arbitrum or Optimism or any other chain? Because I'm not able to write off gas fees as loss on my crypto taxes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We all feel your pain there. But we are looking at multi-chain. We just wanted to iron out. I mean, we are, you guys are really hearing about Goldmint fairly early in our life. I mean, we have the core years of share token emissions, just 2 years of those being emitted. And then we're set up to have the Dow kind of issue that dividend style token. But we're less than 6 months into that. So we really are set up, kind of to have that forward-looking opportunity where it's going to do something in the long term that you can have to work towards. So
Yeah, and to add on that a little bit, we've absolutely discussed growing cross-chain or to different chains. We have some really fantastic partners cross-chain that may make things more viable. We also believe in our team that once Silvermint is instituted, that may fit into our overall long-term plan with going cross-chain. And then the final thing I would say about that is just linking back to the last liquidity question. Going cross-chain is one of these things that sounds great. However, if you don't have a lot of liquidity, you can really dilute yourself and cause problems. So it has to be done under a very controlled and concise manner. And I think when the time comes, our team's absolutely been thinking about that.
Yeah, and also another point to touch on too is the core reason why we're on Ethereum is because PaxG is only accessible on Ethereum. The only liquidity pairs, everything is on Ethereum. It's not on any other chain. So that is a major issue is, providing PaxG as, as valuable of an asset as it is, bringing that to other chains is not as easy for us. So
Yeah, that's definitely an issue, eh? Would you be able to get Chainlink to be like, hey guys, Arbitrum is like a layer 1 on Ethereum. Let's move it there.
I think we'd have to ask PaxG themselves. I think we'd have to go to Paxos and be like, hey, you guys should migrate some liquidity over to this.
Yeah, like, what are you guys doing? There's a tomb fork out here, bro. Change it. Change everything.
But yeah, no, definitely. I'll say we love cross chain, we love other chains, but Ethereum will be our home, and there's a reason why we're here, and that is because of PaxG itself. But we are definitely in talks of bringing Goldmint and PaxG elsewhere.
I actually had a follow-up question. It's in regards to the taxes that we discussed. He says, doesn't it restrict it outside investors who just want to buy in Silvermint as silver, but now they have to go through taxes, which basically limits you from the overall exposure, in my opinion?
There is only a sell tax and no buy tax. Anybody can buy Silvermint with no loss, with no tax, no nothing. So the only point that there is a tax is if you decide to sell when under peg. If you decide to hurt the protocol or cause more damage, that's where you'll get taxed.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, you got to pay the taxes. Long story short, all right, you got to pay taxes. This guy, he doesn't like taxes, and I understand, right? But taxes you got to pay it. There's no way around it. If you're trying to sell the token, you pay it.
And there is a way around it. It's like take healthy profits. If Silverman's trading above peg, that's your time to take a little bit of profit, keep it above peg and printing, and that's all you got to do. Just don't sell when it's below peg. I think it's a pretty simple system.
Yeah, and the other way around it is just to send it to me, honestly.
Real quick, too, just so everybody knows, there is no tax exempt list for the home team, for us big angel investors, for YouTubers. Everybody is sailing on the same ship here too, and I think that's an important thing to know. I've seen tax exempt systems in other protocols, which be what they are. I'm not saying one thing or other, but with regard to our team, there is no tax exemption status that we have.
Yes, that is actually a really good point to note. Like nobody on the team or mods or anything is going to be like untaxed, or like we're all participating in the same ecosystem, and all there's no whitelist tax or anything like that. The only way that we had to actually, I'll touch upon this, is we had to create a contract for creating and breaking LP. Otherwise, a user would get taxed when trying to do so, like interacting with LP. So we whitelisted a contract that will not get taxed for creating and breaking LP, which is integrated into our website in our UI for everybody and anybody to use, and that's for us as well. So that's something as well, is that there's no tax for LP.
Okay. All right. That's nice. And I think that's really comforting as well as an investor to know that nobody's getting an advantage, even though it kind of sucks for some.
CD's going to message us after, like, hey, can I get my address whitelist?
I'm glad Doc added that. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, you already know. I was like halfway through my sentence. Like you got your boy, right? Like
CD's trying to add his address to the whitelist.
All right, no, but jokes aside. All right, so his seventh question is: you had, my God, this guy has so many damn questions. But you had partnerships with Grape Finance. How do you see it playing as you both are on completely different chains?
I'd like to hear a little bit.
You want to take that, Cripsom? You kind of handle a lot of those partnerships.
It's pretty simple. We do have plans to go cross-chain. Grape is already cross-chain. They're on Binance. We do have some friends that are partners as well. Equinox, if you guys know of them, we're hoping that's going to be our kind of our entry into multi-chain. So we do have some friends over there, and they are friends with them as well. So as far as affecting us, I don't think that's really going to affect us. They are one of our partners. We do have some stuff coming out with them pretty soon with NFTs, an NFT collab. So I don't really see it being affected in any way. It's pretty easy to do partnerships cross-chain.
Yeah, the nice thing about us being EVM is that people from Binance, AVAX, everything, as long as you're an EVM, we can essentially collaborate together because we all use ERC20s and can be bridged natively and everything. So yeah.
I mean, you guys heard it here first. For Goldman going to Binance Smart Chain, market alpha. You guys heard it here first. let me just translate what he said real quick.
Exactly.
All right. He says Doc is the Dow guy, is what I heard from the previous AMA. Why isn't the Dow wallet public or on the docs?
Ooh, I'll start real quick, but we're gonna let Doc take most of this. So the Dow wallet should be in the docs. I guess right now we probably have our multi-sig version of the Dow wallet. I guess that's probably the answer. So we have a day trading Dow wallet that acquires Goldman, buys Goldman, exchanges bonds, sells when overpeg, buys when underpeg. And then we have the multi-sig version of our wallet that gets stables and deposits from our contracts and things like that. At one point, there was just one version that was listed. I think now we have the multi-sig version out, but the DAO's trades themselves are we can make more accessible so you guys can see them. It's a 0x70 something wallet address. It's one of the top holders in the Goldman ecosystem. Its current purpose is acquiring Goldman for the nodes, but those can be made public, and Doc can touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. Vu said exactly what I was going to say. I'll gladly give everybody the address, and you can go through and look from the transaction history to see all the trades. That's really as Vu said, our day trade executing wallet. We try to use it sort of as our homemade LMS, if you're thinking of it that way. We also use it to manage OTC deals and things like that. But that wallet address is available to anybody who wants to see it, and any transaction that anyone has a question, happy to address. But really, really straightforward.
Yeah,
perfect.
We just tried to, I guess, not really like advertise it too much, like how we operate, or like when we operate, or like if we're doing stuff, because we don't want people to try and counter trade the DAO or anything like that. Like we don't want people counter trading it. So it is public, but we're not going to be like announcing its trades or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Does it do trading outside of the ecosystem, outside of the Goldmint ecosystem?
We've only done so with some of our partner organizations. So, for example, we've had a partnership with the AAA ecosystem.
Mhm.
We also unfortunately we're part of the LC ecosystem, but no, the DAO has not done any significant investing outside of our own protocol management.
Okay, that's good. Did you guys get hit by the LC situation, or were you guys okay with that?
We did it. We did it at least our DAO in a very, very minor way. I think a lot of our investors, I can speak, I can speak for them. Yeah, we did. I think we're just like everybody else. As much as the pocketbook, we were all just hit more in the gut and in the trust factor, and just seeing something like that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Aisha's last question, or he says it's not a question, but you docs and light people link on website seems to not work. You might have a look
Yeah,
at that.
I like just updated the docs because of like Silvermint stuff and had to change the links. So I just need to get the dev to update that on like the landing page and things. So that'll be updated very, very soon. If not, all the links are in our Discord and everything like that, and the link
Yeah.
tree.
Nice. My guy's slacking. My guy's caught in the act. Caught in the
Fuck.
act.
Call me out like that. Oh my god.
I mean, he's got those eyes, this guy, he looks at every part of a project, and that's why he's got so many questions. So yeah, I hate on Aish as well, but he's got really good questions. Smart guy.
Yeah,
No,
I
it's
appreciate it
good.
actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real. It's actually nice having so many different cool questions and actually something to talk about. So honestly, thank you, Ayush. It's good.
Yeah. His last question is, when is the gold giveaway? When gold Lambo? When?
Gold giveaway today in this podcast. Gold Lambo. Never. This is where you come instead. If you want to find your next 100 or million X opportunity, more power to you. I used to try to make those trades myself, honestly, probably less than a year ago. But until then, when you want somewhere stable to hang out with a team that's busting their butts trying to continue to innovate and do something cool on the blockchain, with the mechanisms we have, made available to us through Seniorage, come hang out at Goldman and Silvermint. But it's not going 10x. Shares, maybe. Look at them shares.
Yeah.
So
Not
juicy,
financial
bro.
advice.
Yeah,
But
NFA,
they can be a little more volatile up and down.
Yeah, no, I think at this point he just wants somebody to like throw a gold bar at his head or something. When he just wants some gold.
Maybe one
You and
day.
me both, brother.
That's facts, yeah.
Umarsha says, how does Silvermint liquidity pools maintain fair market values for the tokens they hold? So I guess how does it hold peg? And how do you also plan to mitigate the challenges faced by the liquidity pool, such as impermanent loss, issues with smart contracts, such as hacks or bugs? Please explain. So it has kind of like two questions in that.
Yeah, I guess it's there is a couple questions in there, but the
Yeah.
shortest answer is using the tax system is really going to help us from having the liquidity pool hit too hard at the beginning. And by having something like that, where we are trading at or near peg when we come out of Genesis, we make it a good time to provide LP with minimum risk of impermanent loss. So the tax is kind of meant to protect the LP providers by preventing impermanent loss. Is maybe the short answer that kind of answers both of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Monkey, did you want to add anything?
I was just gonna say for like the smart contracts, hacks or bugs, we use code that's tried and tested and been audited multiple times. So I would hope if Tomb got hacked, randomly one day, then like I guess every protocol has something to worry about. But so far, no Seniorage protocol has faced any issues other than front end issues, but that doesn't correlate to the smart contracts really. So yeah, most on that would be check out the audits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now the next question comes from Ahmad Sphere, and I think he's probably quite new to the Goldmint ecosystem. So he says, "Is Silvermint a stable currency? What is the difference between the Silvermint currency and stable currencies that are pegged to the dollar? Is a Silvermint token a native DeFi asset? What can it be used for on the Gold Finance platform? Like, what can it be used for on Goldmint? So if you could shed some light on in that regards.
So that's a couple questions as well. So Silvermint is not a stable coin. It is not like your dollar pegged stables, but there are different types of dollar pegged stables in our existence. Since we launched, we saw the collapse of US Terra. So I really see there being two types of stable currencies. There's ones that are backed, and then there's ones that use a different mechanism to stay backed. So what we use is, instead of being backed 1 gram of silver for each Silvermint, we use elastic supply and demand. So our protocol will reduce the supply of Silvermint, or incentivize the people to reduce the supply of Silvermint if we're trading below where we want to trade. And if we're trading above, it'll let new Silvermint be created. So that's kind of what makes us a native DeFi protocol. We operate with DeFi. We don't use a vault to hold silver to represent each token. Instead, we're willing to have more or less Silvermint exist to balance whatever the existing supply and demand curve is, to kind of mirror that price of a gram of silver. And that's an example of DeFi. And then for like the last part of it, you want to jump in, Doc, on
no, sorry. Yeah, I basically just was going to say, with regard to, Silvermint or even Goldmint, sorry to interrupt you, Vu, just being a safe haven asset, right? It's really important to make the delineation here that the precious metals themselves are really what's thought of as the safe haven asset. What Goldmint and Silvermint do is they provide exposure to these precious metals, these safe haven assets, right? And that exposure comes the opportunity to earn yield. And that really is going to be the difference. So you have to look at tokens that we have a little bit different than the precious metals. They're giving exposure to them, but they're not the same as them.
Okay, perfect. I think that's a really good way to explain it. Yeah, Vu, did you want to continue on that?
No, I think he helped close it out perfectly.
Yeah. Now there's a question that is by Bankio, and I'm going to kind of elaborate on it because I think it touches upon a question that I had myself as well. And he asks, what are the goals of the Silvermint token, and what is the plan for the development of this token? So the development genesis phase, we understand that, but in regards to the goals, what benefit do you think the Silvermint token is actually going to bring as a second peg token? Because we've seen lots of protocols really bring in second peg tokens, but the actual reasoning behind it is kind of uncertain, right? So what goals do you guys have, or why did you choose to have a second peg token?
Yeah, so if I'm understanding it correctly, I really like the question. So we see this as kind of achieving our goal, our purpose. So if you've been listening, you understand that Goldmint, our first token, pegged to a fraction of Pax G, which existed on the blockchain but represented gold because it was backed by gold. But then as we look to silver, we saw that we didn't have a perfect token that existed on the blockchain that represented it. So we learned to use a Chainlink data feed to kind of call something external. And we really see that as the purpose of Goldmint, kind of as stated in our roadmap from the beginning, to not just be able to mirror Pax G in a reasonable fraction, but to bring assets to the blockchain in a mirrored version using a supply and demand instead of backed holdings that aren't there yet. If we succeed with this, we can keep growing from here. Chainlink allows us to call gold, silver, or oil, but then move to diamonds will require a new innovation that we're, talking about behind the scenes if we take that route. So it's really kind of spearheading this effort to keep being able to use the mechanics of Tomb Finance and these other senior edge protocols, but instead of pegging to another token, to bring new things to the blockchain. That's kind of what the point of Silvermint is, and why it's so important to us. It's what we've sought to do all along.
Yeah, I just want to touch up on that because Vu explains it so well, and like something Vu has said, even like one of the first things he ever said to me, like when we were talking about about the protocol, like what is Goldmint? I was asking him, like, what is this protocol going to be? It was like, read Tomb's docs, and it tells you how they want to be the mirrored asset for Phantom. But it was like, or they explained how they want to be like gold, but on but be mirrored and everything like that. And Vu was like, well, why don't we just do that with gold? Like, why don't we just have gold on the blockchain and have that mirrored and like bring other commodities? And that was exactly it. It's like, God damn, we need to start bringing these other tokens like to the blockchain that aren't already here. And that was exactly it. Silver, diamond, oil, platinum, like so many different commodities, and even wheat, sugar, things like that. Like, there's so many opportunities.
That is a true story. It was reading Tomb's docs that kind of gave me the original idea for this. They said, how can we explain this idea of pegging to Phantom? Imagine if you wanted to have a mirrored asset for gold. How great would that be? So this is why we pegged to Phantom. And I was like, whoa, wait, like, let's touch on that for a minute. There's something we could do there. And I think it's still in their docs today in their explanation. Yeah, so that's a good side story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's actually a really good answer. I haven't heard a lot of projects talk about it like that. I've heard a lot of projects say, "Oh, we want to do this and this because we want to make people money," but I haven't heard people actually have a real reason behind it, and I think that's actually really good.
We think
sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said we think it's cool. We do. I actually think it's a cool idea, a cool use of these mechanisms that's kind of unexplored. At first glance, Goldmint can seem similar to other seigniorage or algorithmically stabilized protocols you've heard of, but hopefully as you listen to us, you'll see that we actually do have a different goal and a different purpose, kind of a different approach to doing it.
Okay. Now, Alex has a couple of questions as well. The first being, as you have chosen a secondary peg, was there a reason for going into a silver peg other than just silver being one of the top precious metals? Perhaps something that makes you think that its price is going to rise?
I wouldn't say that we're speculating on the price. I do believe strongly in silver, and we talked about it at the beginning. But there is an ulterior motive, almost like you're alluding to, and that's that Chainlink has 3 core data feeds for what we would call commodities on the Ethereum network, and that is gold, silver, and oil. We had already found an awesome way to do gold via PaxG. So Chainlink opened up the opportunities for silver and oil. And silver just seemed like the natural next move with where we were going. It had an appealing price point to us and a relevant use case for our participants. But that was also enabled by Chainlink. But they did say to us, somebody joked earlier, or you did, CD, about just going to Chainlink. When I talked to them as we were, planning some of this, and they said, if this goes well, with Silverman and what you guys are doing, and you want to see us, possibly bring other things, other data feeds to the blockchain, we can talk. So let's imagine, our next one, we wanted to be something different, lumber, for example, or something like that. We could discuss with them making that data feed available so that we could use it.
Right.
So those talks are happening on the back end.
Nice, very nice.
Also, with regard to silver, and I'm a precious metals guy. I have been for a long time. When you look at silver and compared to gold, right? Silver tends to be more volatile. So whenever they both jump, silver will tend to move sort of in a multiplier, either up or down with gold. So it sort of fits some of the traditional degen mentality in the crypto space, but it does provide a different type of precious metals exposure, both to the up and the downside.
And I just also want to touch up on that with what Doc said is silver I see is kind of like the poor man's gold. A lot of people could afford buying a bullion of silver, but not a lot of people could afford buying a bullion of gold. It's a big difference, right? So it's kind of like a different level of entry. Some people some people see the numbers too, especially when we had a 1-to-1 peg with PaxG. People seeing that $1,700 token, they assumed that they may need $1,700 just to start in the ecosystem or something, even though it's not true because it's DeFi, but some people see it that way. And having like the silver is, again, it's the poor man's gold. It's an easier way of entry, and it's a lot more common for the basic household man to be having silver. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a really good takeaway from that. His second question is, to partake in your Genesis, users need a whitelist. Is this a lesson you have drawn from the first Genesis and decided to go with a tighter circle of investors?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think I touched on that earlier, but Monkey just closed it out there. So yes, Genesis can be a painful experience. I mean, when you release free tokens just to the internet to use as they see fit, if that's not done in a proper fashion, it can just be a really bad experience. We have too many people take advantage of it. So we tried to set it up not just with the tax structure, but also we touched on this earlier with USDC being a real small part of the pool. The implication there that we didn't really touch on is the other 99 or 98% of the pool is going to be Goldmint and Silvermint tokens and LP combined tokens. So it's really, really gonna kind of depend on and build and work with Goldmint as well.
Yeah, it was a good factor too. Is like making sure that and even if people wanted to join this Genesis, they were new that you would have to to get a very good entry within the ecosystem. You would need to participate by entering with Goldmint Finance tokens or LP. So it helps provide more value back to the current holders and participants because new investors or participants are gonna have to acquire those tokens first.
Right. Yeah. His third question is: had you planned to add multiple peg to the Goldman project since the beginning? And was silver already the choice of secondary peg, or did you choose depending on the market condition?
It's a good question.
I think I pretty much answered that with kind of two of the other questions. But yes, we did plan on expanding Goldman out to bring other things, and we were heavily leaning towards silver being the second peg for both its relevance, Doc's appreciation of it, and the ability to add it because of Chainlink's, offerings of just two options more than what we already had out there.
And
Yeah,
we also
it was pretty much done.
We got to give a little bit of credit here to CD. He kind of gave us a little bit of an idea push for doing like a
Yeah.
secondary peg within the ecosystem.
I didn't know if we should touch on that or not, but we should. I think that is appropriate. No blame if anything isn't a perfect idea, but we really care about talking to good people in the community and learning, from advice. And CD's been running this server and talking to different protocols and involved in what's probably hundreds of different, Tomb Fork seniorage style protocols. He had some good advice. So he was one of the people who helped us understand at the beginning how to kind of release Silvermint as a second peg, as an addition to the Goldmint ecosystem, to make sure that it wasn't us sitting here today telling you about a V2 new Silvermint.io. This is going to be the next greatest thing. We swear we'll still work on Goldmint, but we did discuss with him at the beginning using the second peg, same share token mechanics. And that's something that maybe nobody would have guessed in their questions, but the Goldmint share token, our SGLDM token, is going to be the same token that stakes in the Silvermint boardroom. So you'll start to see how this whole Silvermint ecosystem, not just at Genesis, but then going forward to the people who get Silvermint tokens when we're printing over peg, aren't going to be random participants from Genesis, but they'll be the ones that hold the SGLDM token.
Yeah, it was something actually. The big thing about what Vu said there is we were not willing to do like Silvermint.io, a new protocol, a new thing. Like from the very start, we knew that we didn't want to do like a V2, but we weren't exactly sure how we were going to go about, implementing and like adding silver and stuff. So yeah, definitely a shout out to CD here for, helping and starting that idea essentially. So yeah.
You guys.
Thanks, brother.
Nah, no worries, bro. No worries. I'm actually glad you guys are doing this. It's definitely hopefully gonna bring the attraction that you guys deserve for sure.
Great idea.
So his fourth question is a question that's already been answered. Is there any plans to add other precious metals as additional pegs? And I think you kind of did touch upon it in regards to adding maybe oil, and then of course you have a vast amount of peg tokens that you can add. So moving on to his last question, he says, lastly, are there real world generated revenue being applied in your project currently or planned to be done?
I will say currently no real world revenue, but there is definitely plans on that. I can't say anything on it because it's super behind the scenes, and Crypsom would fucking come beat my ass. But yeah, there is something being planned.
Okay, yeah, we have big plans, but I can't necessarily disclose what's going on, but
let's just say in a theoretical land, right? If in a different realm, right? If you were to give an example to people, actually, we're just friends, like.
Yeah, give an example. It's pretty simple. We're basically using our brains to come up with better ways to generate revenue.
Wow, you're terrible. You're absolutely terrible. You know that, right?
Yeah, I knew Cripson wouldn't want to really talk about it much, but we can say yes, there is plans, and more details and anything like that will be released as any more information comes to us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. All right, so basically, Cripson podcast revenue is being directed to the Dow. Got it.
I mean, yeah, of course, but I don't think I guess I don't have plans for revenue for that. I just have plans to educate folks, but I can say maybe a little bit personally. Oh man, I'm trying to think of what I can share here because
I believe in you. I believe in you.
I just have to keep it pretty basic, but the folks that I'm involved with are doing some really big things in the world that are going to change the world. And so it's on a how can I say that? It's based off of
what's something out there that's really on everybody's mind and is intrinsically important to all of us every day in what we do, but yet doesn't have the exposure to blockchain and Web3 that it really needs and deserves. Is that
yeah,
well
said. Yeah,
that's a good way to put it, Doc. Thank you for that. I was kind of there's so many things going on and so many things are happening. I can say that I do have a gentleman flying up here to talk to me on Monday. So there's definitely some things we're working on. Docs, pretty much everybody's a part of it on this team. That's for sure. So pretty excited to be able to talk about this, but it's under wraps right now. We just can't say any more about it.
Next AMA. Next
Yep.
AMA.
And I should be able to talk about it here in about 2 weeks.
All right. You got me curious because what Doc said, right? That's a politician's answer, right? I can make a list of literally 20 things right now that are not on the blockchain. Air. You guys are bringing air to the blockchain.
Oxygen.
No. But jokes aside, whenever you guys are, willing to talk about it more, I'm sure everybody would love to know about it. Here I am trying to pry alpha out of you.
It'd be hard.
I'll just say that there's just a protocol under development right now.
Very nice. Nice. All right.
Different. So.
Okay. Shartoon says, please explain about the Silverman project. Now, I know you guys have talked about it a lot. And he says, there are many questions, but please tell us the white paper in brief. So just how about a 2-minute summary of Silverman?
Yep. Got it. Okay. So Silvermint will be the second peg token within our ecosystem, obviously pegged to silver, and we're going to do that by utilizing Chainlink data feeds. It's going to add a new boardroom, which we call a mint, and so you'll be able to stake your share tokens that you've been acquiring this entire time. If you're a participant of our ecosystem, you'll be able to stake those within that S mint to earn silver mint when it's over peg, as well as a foundry that's going to come in if Silvermint's trading below peg. There will be 2 new vaults pools that will be added within like the vault section of Goldman Finance website to earn SGLDM, our share token emissions. So this will help thin out the emissions a little bit and drive more value back to the ecosystem, and help make share token a little bit more valuable and harder to acquire, I guess. So yeah, most of that is going to be held all within the ecosystem itself. It's going to be the new pages, the new vaults, the new everything. There's going to be the sell tax, linearly degrading sell tax, only sell tax, no buy tax, no sell tax, or no tax when creating or breaking LP. That will again be hosted within our website so that there is no tax. There is a Genesis happening tomorrow. We're going to be distributing 5,000 tokens, and it's going to last over 3 days. We're going to accept Goldmint Pax GLP, S Goldmint USDC LP, Goldmint S Goldmint, the share token, Silvermint USDC LP, and USDC single stake. So there will be a 1% deposit fee for all single stake pools. So that'll include the Goldmint single stake, the SGLDM single stake, and the USDC single stake. They will all have a 1% deposit fee. None of the LP pools will have a deposit fee. Those are all zero fee. And also implementing the Silvermint USDC LP into the Genesis pools to allow for people to start building LP early to acquire more Silvermint tokens. If you're here for Silvermint and here to, really be about the system and support, then you're going to be acquiring and building liquidity. And so doing so, you'll be able to stake that within the Genesis to earn even more silver tokens so that you can continue to pair it and build LP and get a good position for when the pools open that start to emit the SGLDM rewards. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Goddamn, did you have that written? Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awesome 2-minute rundown. We've been working on this for a long time, but Monkey just killed it.
Luckily I do have the docs right in front of me. I skimmed through it a little bit, but most of that was off the top of my head.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. That was really good for sure. I was about to put up a buzzer sound and be like, yo, your time's out. But you finished right before.
Cool.
Nalaka says most investors focus only on the short-term price of the token instead of the actual value of the project. So what are the benefits for long-term investors in Silvermint's project?
All of them. If you've been listening to us, none of them are for the short-term people. If you're thinking of some way to get in this Genesis and sell your tokens really fast for a profit, you're probably going to be sorely disappointed. You'll have to be going in, purchasing Goldmint tokens, providing LP for the best rewards, get taxed in lowest amounts if you're coming in with external tokens like USDC. And if Silvermint is harmed or doing poorly, the tax structure is set to increase and stop you from being able to do further sells at any sort of profit compared to what could be had by a good participant, even one who isn't an advanced trader. Just by simply holding and participating in any of the parts of our ecosystem, you'll probably do better with Silvermint than by leaving quickly. And we thought a lot and we purposely set it up that way.
Mm-hmm. His third question is, do you have plans to burn your tokens in the future to potentially reduce the supply of tokens?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
We've been pretty aggressive token burners. I think the original supply of Goldmint, we burned both from the Dow at the beginning, and then we really incentivize our bond tokens. So if you are checking out Goldmint for the first time, you'll notice we have farms and vaults for our bond tokens. We do different things to support our bond token holders that other systems don't do. And for anyone that understands these protocols, when you buy a bond token, you burn a main protocol token, which for us is Goldmint, and there'll soon be a bond token for Silvermint as well. So we do a lot there to help incentivize the participants to burn tokens when the time is right, instead of leaving them with a bond token that they maybe can or can't redeem in the future. We try to kind of deliver an immediate use case, kind of use the protocol to drive the participants to do the right actions instead of always having to do it ourselves. But Doc's definitely stepped in a huge way with the Dow a couple times before.
Yeah. I'll touch up on this a little bit. We previously, like the Doc and the Dow burned. When we first did Goldmint, we realized we had too many tokens and we needed to burn a lot. So we incentivized burning, acquiring bond Goldmint. But again, we also wanted to make sure that you weren't just going to be stuck with an illiquid asset. That's a major flaw that I've seen in many other seniorage protocols. And I came into this protocol with the mindset that we're going to make sure that bond holders are benefited. That's why I pushed to have a single stake bond pool for the vaults so that you can stake your bond token and be able to earn that, some small emission of share tokens. But also it's nice that we, I don't want to say it, but like we're one of the only protocols that you were allowed to, or you were incentivized to acquire bond tokens and were able to redeem them in the future. That was like a big key thing as well as, having the yield utility and making sure that they're functioning correctly within the ecosystem. A lot of people in other protocols, they have their bond token and it's like forgotten about. Like you never hear about bond whatever because it's like it's never incentivized to buy it or do anything because it has some flaws. But that's something where we wanted to change a little bit and, provide more value for bond holders. And we will continue to do so throughout the life of the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Marina Gomez has a couple of questions, and these are questions I'm sure you guys have had asked multiple times. So feel free to answer them in a summary manner. The first one is, won't Silvermint take away from Goldmint?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's something I wrote specifically about in the docs. It's literally quote like word for word, won't Silvermint take away from Goldmint, question mark. The answer is no. Period. It's not going to at all. We're definitely here to provide value to the whole ecosystem and current holders, new participants, everybody. So I'll go a little bit into why it won't take away and like how it's going to benefit. Something that'll happen, which we may see, this is speculation, is that when Silvermint Genesis drops, a lot of the TVL will leave the SGLDM emission pools, so the regular vault pools. They will be leaving those to go into the Genesis pools. Doing so will increase the APR in the vaults and the pools that you just left because there's less TVL in there now. That'll be incentive for new people to even acquire more, or current people to acquire more tokens so that they can keep getting those good rewards in that pool. Vice versa for when the new LP pools drop and the bond pool drops, it's going to shift the TVL a little bit, and we'll see, APRs are going to increase in certain ways. Some may decrease a little bit, but it will help drive more value into, new participants coming in. They see like, oh, Goldmint Pax G has like over 1% because everybody's in the Genesis pool right now. So that might be like them being like, oh, because I don't have a whitelist spot, I'm going to come hop in, get some LP and start farming the regular pool because I can't participate in Silvermint right now, or they just don't want to. So yeah, it's a little bit about thinning out the share token emissions so that there's more ways to acquire SGLDM, as well as make it harder to acquire and provide more value for the share token as well by having that new boardroom where you could stake the share token to earn Silvermint when we're over peg. So now we'll have two boardrooms, hopefully both printing, where you'll have to kind of decide or fight which boardroom you want to be in. Maybe one has a better APR, you're APR hunter, or maybe you're more focused on silver, so you're just going to stake them all in the Silvermint. Provides a little bit more utility, more value, and more incentive for new participants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Ben Jonathan says, are Node whitelist and Silvermint Genesis whitelist the same or different? Can you explain this briefly?
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
the same whitelist. Vu can also explain that if he wants.
That's it. That's the brief explanation. Yes, they're the same. It costs 0.125 Pax G to get on the whitelist, and I think most of the people who've done so are happy with it. We always try to do stuff. That's the reason they're the same. When we put out the Node whitelist, they didn't know that was going to be a whitelist for them to access Silvermint in the future. So we're always going to try to take care of our whitelist participants. They are the same whitelist, and it's a great time to get in.
Mm-hmm.
That can be done by sending the transaction hash of sending 0.125 Pax G to the Dow multisig as it's listed in our docs. You can send that transaction in our Discord to get a whitelist spot.
Absolutely.
Just open a ticket.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just open a ticket.
Yeah.
All right. Duri Binda says, how do you determine the correct market price on tokens? Do you work with Chainlink? And I think you guys have answered this already. I think he's probably just shook because, nobody's ever pegged to silver. So he's like, are you guys making up some numbers?
Yeah, we're just making up random numbers.
We don't have anyone in a back room trying to type it in as fast as the market can change, but it is pegged to Chainlink for Silvermint. And then Goldmint uses Pax G, which is an existing token on the Ethereum blockchain that's already backed by gold. It moves up and down appropriately. But yes, we do use Chainlink for Silvermint and maybe using them for some additional things in the future as well.
Mm-hmm. Allison says, what performance should... yeah. Allison says, what performance should we expect from Silvermint in a possible bear run or a bear market that we're in, for example, now? Also, how do you handle the issue of risk of the community breaking up their Silvermint when the price falls?
Well, I think the risk in a bear market for us are maybe uniquely less than other protocols. Even with Doc saying earlier that silver is kind of the more volatile, when compared to gold. As he said, when compared to crypto, it's actually extremely stable. So I think Goldmint and Silvermint are kind of going to appeal to people in difficult markets like right now is a way to get yield on something that attempts to mirror gold and silver, regular real world assets that they're familiar with. And I think that's actually going to resonate in a bear market. And again, to protect the peg and what would happen with the community. First, we're able to take more actions from the lessons we learned from Goldman to help stop us from entering that situation. And if we do enter the situation, I have to say I trust our community. But like I said, we came out of Genesis at 0.01 peg. These guys are badass. Excuse me, we might have to censor that. But if you guys check out our Discord and stuff like that, they really have stuck through. Our community's been solid in bull runs and bear runs. We have a lot of positivity. I've been in other Discord servers on days when the market's going south, and you see all this like doom and gloom and things like that. Everyone's all disappointed. And people in our server will be talking about, what they're doing with the family for the weekend or a good beer that they had recently or something like that. So we really do have an awesome community, and that's part of the strength of Goldmint Finance, and that strength is going to kind of move into Silvermint as well.
Mm-hmm. Onya Ashi says actively developing the community will popularize and increase the demand for a token. So what strategies have been mapped in view of this? And how do you intend to achieve and maintain a better token price and token demand by the end of this year? So the first part is specifically in regards to the community. How do you guys, or what are you guys doing to really bolster the community engagement?
Yeah, that's something I kind of work on a little bit, bringing a little bit of engagement and rewards for active engagement as well. We give away a whitelist spot every single week to, some of the most active members chatting in our community, as well as a share token, as well as, just being out in different communities and finding different places and like hanging out. Like I was in Grape Finance like just earlier this week for their community, just their community hangout. I just wanted to hang out there and talk with Steve for a little bit, and it was a good time. But yeah, pretty much we've done lots of natural growth and kind of finding the smart investors, I guess. I don't want to shoot anybody down, but there's lots of degens, and we're not a degen protocol. That's not what we've promoted or tried to show. It's all about stability long term and finding those educated investors that are going to read the docs and actually have an understanding of why our protocol is good and why we're here. Being based on commodities and stability and everything. So yeah, I think it's all about natural growth and obviously, different partnerships, working with you, doing, YouTube videos, AMAs, different small outreach. But we've taken a more natural growth approach instead of, just getting 2,000 or 3,000 random fake bots in our server and then trying to grow it from there. It's been a lot of natural growth and finding those committed investors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think one thing a lot of people don't understand in being a degen as well is you got to be a smart degen, right? And if you're a smart degen, then you definitely will allocate a certain amount of your portfolio to the safer side, and then you have some of your portfolio that's in the dark side, right? And yeah, sure, you'll be classified as a degen, but at least you'll be a smart degen, not 100% throwing your bag at every other random token that pops up on a deck screener. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people definitely will appreciate what you guys are doing. I mean, I for one do, and that's important, right? It's important to make sure that people are investing accordingly. Of course, not financial advice to anybody that's listening, but it's important to make sure that you allocate your funds in accordance to your risk portfolio or your risk you take risk management into consideration.
Yeah, I think it's good too to note, like I said it before, but it's not a degen protocol. Like don't come into Goldmint Finance or anything expecting to get like a 10x return or like be earning 2% daily constantly. Like, you should expect to see like 365% APR or less. Like we're not going to be boasting, crazy APRs or having our mint be emitting like 30 or 50 Goldmint per epoch or whatever to dilute holders or anything. It's nice, slow, steady growth, low APRs. We want to make sure this is here for the long run.
John has a question. It's already been answered. I'm just going to read it out though. It says, I love the idea of pegging to precious metals as it gives crypto people access to a different hedge. Why Ethereum network though? It's such a huge barrier to entry for many investors. Yes, gas prices are reasonable now, but when a bull run comes, many investors can't afford the gas fees. Do you guys plan on expanding to a different chain for those of us who love the concept but can't rationalize the high gas fees?
Yeah, I can answer it again quick. But so first, I do actually love Ethereum. I mean, every one of these layer twos post their blocks to Ethereum, and that's the reason that AVAX or Phantom is secure, is because they're backed by the security of Ethereum. So we remember that, and we knew that we were going to appeal to kind of the bigger investors eventually once we gained a foothold, and we kind of saw the forward-looking path that Ethereum's even demonstrating right now with their move to proof of stake. So we do like being there, but Chainlink has their best data feeds there. PaxG, an amazing gold back token, lives there. And that is going to be our home base. And yes, to the last part of that question, we are going to move out from there. And if you were listening to Cripsom earlier, you probably have a pretty good guess where our first move is going to be. So there will be some more gas affordable chains coming soon.
Definitely.
I definitely think you guys should go Binance, bro. I have so much funds on Binance
Yeah.
just sitting there. Like, I'm trying to get it to Ethereum. I like it. I hear you. You know, respect to the OG, right? Ethereum, but I'm also like, yo, bring it over, bring it over. You know, CZ is doing a good job with the
Yep.
BSC, so you know we gotta head on over there for sure.
It's actually funny you
That's
say
where
that.
we're going, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. We believe in cross chain, but it's funny that you say that. Like, CZ, like Binance is pretty damn good. Like with what they got going on, like just even their coins, tokenomics, how everything works. Like Binance is pretty fucking smart. I'm not gonna lie. Like they got it's full of degen, like rugs and rug pulls all the time, especially on BSC. But there are lots of gems on there, especially like AAA and other protocols. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yo, CC's low key the richest man on earth. No cap. This guy knows his shit.
yeah, it's fucking smart. It's crazy.
Now JJ Friends has a couple of questions, and I mean we've already touched upon the first one, which is in regards to having other metals, and he he just wants other metals because he wants the entire Minecraft or arsenal. So
He might be on to something too there. He
like,
might be on to
surprise,
something
we're
too
all Minecraft lovers.
there. Yeah. I think there is definitely room for blockchain protocols to explore something like that. Something like Goldmint being represented as like an in-game currency somewhere in the future or something. I think that's a cool idea. But in regards to the other metals, what his actual question was. Yeah, I mean, yes, you guys can kind of tell that's where we're looking. And I made a joke the other day. I said you could peg to the average price of a four-door sedan. I mean, you can really start to see how these mechanics and what we're putting together here can be used to bring anything to the blockchain. If we can find a proper and safe oracle, and we've even looked into ourselves how to create your own oracles and assemble data feeds from different places, we're really going to have an opportunity that no one else has taken advantage of. To bring these new things to the blockchain. And this is at the same time of having the only DAO that exists whose purpose is to kind of acquire PaxG, and yield-bearing mechanisms to kind of, send back out to the community at the end of the share token emission. So we really do have something special over here.
I just want to touch up and say that definitely with the Chainlink stuff, I think it's super cool if we can, bring other commodities and other things to as a data feed so that we can peg against. Like one thing I think about, I want to start a joke protocol that pegs to McDonald's Big Mac in America. So like the average price of a Big Mac. See how that one goes. That would be like on
There's
Joe's
a 10x.
or something. Yeah,
that's a 10x for your degens there, guys.
Yeah, but that's a 10x up or down.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it opens up the doors to allow us to provide some more fun, cool things. So I'm excited to see what we can do for the future.
Big Mac coin.
Absolutely. Imagine pegging to a Big Mac, bro.
I want to, man. I want to.
Now 1 billion says, what is the long-term vision of your project? Where do you guys see yourselves in 1 to 3 years from now on? And what do you aim to achieve in this period of time?
Perfect question. That's actually something I was going to bring up. And yeah, Doc, get in here. What is the DAO's goal? What is the whole goal of Goldmint?
Yeah, I think the whole goal of Goldman initially, obviously, is to acquire more Pax G, right? So to acquire as much, I would say, backed assets as possible. So for that, the end of our emission term and that year and 3 quarters at this point, we're going to be able to have a way to continue to provide stable yield for what we're doing, right? And I think that all goes back and feeds into what Vu said about the development of additional commodities and how you put those together and then ultimately earn yield. So ultimately, the goal of the Dow is, I would say, to acquire more Pax G or stable backed assets over time, and that's in addition to the standard answer of supporting the protocol, helping to maintain peg, that those type of things. But yeah, ultimately, it's to acquire more stable backed assets to provide yield for our community members.
Yeah, I think it's important to touch up on the fact that we're one of the first and only protocols to have like a set plan and goal for once our emissions end, and also have 2 years of emissions. First and only protocol to have double the amount of time to continue to build and grow. But yeah, it was one of the first things that Doc and Vu sat down and thought about for, what is the goal for Golden? What do we do after emissions end? Because like every protocol, I can't name one that has, from day one had a set plan on what they were going to do for when emissions ended, and to continue to provide value to the tokens, and like keep the peg token at and above peg to print in the boardroom, because it'll print forever. There's an endless supply of the peg token. It's infinity. So you can bring it to a bajillion if you wanted to. And yeah, I think it's all about getting to that goal and using the Dow's holdings to, let's say, provide, like, if the Dow is earning some odd amount of Pax G every single day because of its holdings, that we can take 99% of that and give it back to stakers of Goldmint Finance LP and Silvermint LP, all that stuff, so you can continue to earn yield with a dividend style backed token that is backed by the holdings of the Dow. So when the Dow's earning money every single day or Paxi every single day, most of that is going to go back to the stakers, but it's still going to allow the Dow to continue to grow its holdings as we go.
Mm-hmm. That's a really thorough answer for sure.
Yeah, nailed it, guys.
Yeah. Take Profit says, Ayush made a comment, damn, that's why I like them. They come in whole squad. So basically, you guys are like the Autobots. Autobots roll out. We got 4 people came in here real quick. But no, for sure, that's something I appreciate too, that you guys really put in your time and your effort to represent what you believe in. And I think that really does show to a lot of people as well that they can rely on you guys for sure.
Oh yeah, we have daily team meetings and ask ourselves these same questions. It might be the first time we're getting some of them from the community, but 99% of this, we've discussed amongst ourselves, trying to pick the best path forward for Goldman and Silverman.
Mm-hmm. Take Profit says, nice intro, CD and team. Thank you for that. Can you give more information about your personal investments and how you guys see crypto? Just know more. I guess they're saying just want to know more about the team.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
it's a really good question.
Yeah, I think we can. You want to jump in first? I think we can all add to that a little bit, just to give you a little insight on us. Go ahead, Cripsom.
I think I want Doc to start. And
then
then
Doc's he kind of heads the Dow's investment, things like that, and Doc's been kind of investing in crypto and various things for a little while, so he has some expertise there that our team's fortunate to have.
Yeah, a little background on myself. So I'm a real world practicing physician. I'm also a business owner and entrepreneur. So from an investment standpoint, I traditionally have been really interested in gold, silver, other precious metals, as well as commodities, diamonds, that type of thing. From a crypto standpoint, God, I think I bought my first little bit of Bitcoin when it was about $3,000. So I don't know. You can go back and look and see how long that was. And DeFi, I've been involved. God, probably about just a little bit over a year. I, in particular, myself, I'm an angel for some protocols, and I have a group of my my buddies at this point that we sort of run together, and there's a small number of protocols that we're invested with. Most of them are our partners. So that's, I guess, my history. Hopefully, that's what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I didn't know you're a physician.
Yeah, I
Doc is
know.
legit. Doc is fucking, yeah, he's out there. He's
Bro,
saving
you
people.
balling. You balling. You're a physician. Yo, hook us up. You know, let's see that Goldman TVL. Let's see that Goldman TVL go up by 6 figures.
Trust me, the boys up here will tell you. I've absolutely. I put my money where my mouth is when it comes to Goldman. There's no doubt about it, and it's really because I believe in it. You know, and from an investment standpoint, I'll tell everybody else. Really, what I look for at this point is in crypto is a reliable team with a good vision that has a plan that can be executed on. Right. So that's really my investment strategy. I'm not a degen type of guy. Probably I could have been in the past and it would have served me better, but it's just really not the way I roll. I'm more of a long-term, consistent investor more than anything else. And one of the great things that I love about Goldmint and Silvermint is one of the things that precious metal investors are desperate for is some type of yield, right? Some type of yield, even anything. So this is really a clear path to them for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I'll jump in on that a little bit. That was awesome. But I guess one cool thing to know is that Doc and I are in real life cousins. We actually know each other. We live in the same city and state and do family gatherings together. And we've invested in crypto a little bit in the past before starting Goldmint. We had some exposure to Ohm and the Ohm forks, and then kind of moved into Seniorage, Tomb and the Tomb forks, and played around there for a little while in some of the Genesis and some of the different protocols, learning some of the mechanics, seeing what worked and what didn't. So we didn't kind of just randomly decide to start a Tomb Fork Seniorage algorithmically stabilized protocol. We'd participated in quite a few and seen some good examples and some bad examples ourselves as we were learning what worked out there before we kind of made the leap and decided to become founders.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That's really cool. I didn't also know that you guys were cousins, or maybe you guys told me when we first spoke, but I forgot about that. But that's
We've talked
definitely
about
really
so
cool.
many things together.
Yeah,
But yes,
yeah,
we are.
yeah.
It's hard to remember.
We hang out in real life.
That's cool. That's cool. Crips on Monkey.
Yeah. So I was just trying to write down some of the stuff that I've done, kind of explain how I kind of came into this space. I guess it's pretty interesting. I own a business IRL, and I have a diesel custom fabrication business as one of my businesses. I have an agriculture business as well, and then I also consult. So I have a couple things going on, and I actually got involved with crypto by a trade. So somebody said, "Hey, I'm in Tomb T-share." It was one of my buddies, and he's like, "You got to get in on this. You know, the APRs are crazy, and they're printing constantly." And that's when their TVL was like super high, and T-share was like almost hitting 30K. And so I was top of a bull market, and of course I was like, yeah, of course. So I made some money in there, ended up getting hacked, losing like $50,000 or $30,000. Sorry, $30,000 total. That kind of led me to, and during that game, I was, when I got into Tomb, I was obviously on Phantom, didn't really pay attention to any other chains at that point. I was only on Phantom. I was in the Liquid Driver. I was in Spooky, Beethoven, Beats Wars, Oxdow, a lot of different things in Phantom. And that was kind of like my number one chain. I loved it. And it's still a great chain, not to discredit it. It's just got some work to do. So at that point, I kind of moved into looking at other things. I was looking at Avalanche, and I was like, man, there's some cool projects on that chain, and it's really popping. So I kind of started talking to my buddy Guapo, and at the time we were doing a lot of things together. He lives just down the road from me, so we're friends in real life as well. And so, at the time I was kind of like, hey, what's your play? And he's like, oh man, he's like, great finance. So then I got into great finance. Then I started. That was when Grape had just barely started, hadn't even started to take off yet. It was just discovered from us. So then Guapo kind of took over that took lead on that, I should say, for me and him. And then, I guess from there, I started looking into projects on my own. I found Goldmint. Then I was in part of the Genesis pools. And whenever I got in with Goldmint, I kind of really liked the team. And I found out some of the cool things that we're doing. I wanted to be a part of it. Somehow ended up being on the team. Oh, that's right. I made an investment into the Dow. And, I'm personally invested as well, heavily in Goldmint. And so I in the team, and I was like, I'd like to be on the team. Really, that'd be cool. And so that's kind of how I started to started my venture with the team. And from then, I've helped facilitate partnerships with like Grape, El Taco Finance. We did work with some stuff with Liquid Capital. Unfortunately, that kind of went south. I was kind of involved in spearheading that exposure to what was actually happening. And I did do a podcast on it, on Liquid Capital before kind of everything went down. So it kind of looked bad, but I did help spearhead the operation that kind of brought it down. And so we were well aware of things that were going on and preparing to release certain evidence at that time. I know this kind of doesn't have anything to do with how I got in, but so we were part of that.
It's good to touch on all our experiences, and that was a big one for you guys.
Yeah, it was a really big one because like I'm friends with LB, very very close with. I feel like I'm pretty close with LB. He's helped us out a lot. If for anybody that doesn't know, that's Grape Finance's developer. So you probably see him in their AMAs and whatnot. And so that was just tough to see because everybody was involved. It was a circle of trust, and so that was just really, really a bummer to see go down. But we're still working on that. We're still working on the circle of trust because there are people out there, and it's not that we're advertising it. We're working on it internally, and I'm thinking people will start to see that. So, anyways, so I kind of started getting into, I guess chain exposure across the board. Really, I started getting onto Binance, Ethereum, and some other chains as well. And then I just have kind of continuously built my portfolio across multiple chains. And I'd say probably my biggest thing right now is actually on Binance. But I do have a lot of capital invested in Goldmint, and I'm here for the long. Everybody knows I have a podcast. We are working on some other things as well. I do help with Grape. I will say that I help with graphics at Grape. I did do the graphics for X Grape that just came out, so that was cool. And then just little things. Really basically help out with everything. And investment wise, I have a lot of things coming into the future that I can't talk about, but big projects coming up that I will be involved in.
Yeah, awesome.
Monkey.
And then
Yeah, I won't go too long, but I've been in. I guess I got into like regular stocks and stuff probably like 2 years or a little bit over 2 years ago, and realized that wasn't really a way to make money or actually watch or make your money work for you or anything. So I looked more into crypto after about a few months of losing money in stocks, and then I was like, oh, this shit seems way cooler, way more interesting. There's so much more technology around it, and so got into crypto, started researching a lot of things, and leveraging and different things on central exchanges before finally kind of learning about DeFi, discovering, I think I found it on social media as like something, I think it was with like Polygon and some other stuff, but I wasn't that interested in like Polygon. I found like AVAX first. I was like, oh, this seems cool. I was like, I like AVAX. This is awesome. So I hopped on there and started trading a bit, definitely around like the Ohm fork days, degen APRs and million% APR or APY. It's all APY back then. And yeah, kind of degened around in that for a little bit, and pretty much was on DeFi like every single day. I've been within Discord and like researching, I think every single day for the last year in DeFi, just learning and watching other protocols and seeing how things going. And then just 5 or so months ago, I slowly started to work my way up into a better position. Then finally got talking to Vu, and then Vu offered me a spot within Goldmint, and here we are. Now it's been a lot going on.
Yeah, man. I mean, damn, that's a very thorough explanation from all of you. I appreciate that, and it's a good question. It's nice to know you all, and I'm sure everybody else would will appreciate that. Knowing it on a more personal level, exactly how you guys came about where you are now.
Yeah, definitely. It's always
Mhm.
nice to talk a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. Ayush, that was a follow-up question that we already discussed about.
Is there there's something, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. There's something I noticed. It's been getting some reactions and stuff. I just want to touch up and answer. It was, is there team allocation or vesting or anything for Silvermint? And the answer is no. The way that Silvermint gets distributed is through Genesis pools, which is an even and fair launch and distribution, meaning there's no vesting for our DAO. There's no like way that the team can acquire any tokens other than by participating in Genesis ourselves, just like everybody else. So the only way that us as a team can acquire Silvermint tokens is by participating in the protocol using the DAO and whatever we have. So there is no vesting, there's no team tokens. The only thing that's set up for that is the share token emissions, and that is a basic. It's every protocol has a set of emissions that go directly to their DAO or to their team wallet and stuff. And it's only, I think, like
Not during Genesis. It's a percentage. There's not like a pre-minted. There's no like secret 10,000 tokens that the team gets or whatever before Genesis starts. We'll be in there with you guys.
Yeah, you can expect Doc and the DAO and us all participating, trying to get Silvermint tokens too, just like everybody else.
Yeah, don't dump those tokens, all right, guys. I'm gonna report you to the team. I'll be wallet watching. I'm wallet watching.
That's actually something I want to touch up a little bit on too, is that a good point to note is that like we have never taken money out of Goldmint. There has never been profit taking, really. It's only ever been coming into the protocol. Like as a founder standpoint for Doc and Vu, I can definitely speak for them and say like they have only put money into the protocol. They have not really ever taken a single dollar cent out for themselves. It's all been about the protocol and continuing to further its growth.
Nice. Thanks for that shout out. Yeah, we do. Doc and I do recontribute any of our share token, emissions or anything at this point back to just kind of funding growth for the protocol. We really are devoted to this for the long term.
That's nice for sure. Now Seb has he says, as we see more and more of these Team Fork launches with shorter and shorter longevity, what are you going to do firstly to get more TVL liquidity, as this is one thing that kills a lot of projects since big guys won't enter if price impact is too high? He's talking about himself. This guy has a lot of money. Secondly, or actually we'll talk about the first one first. We'll talk about that. So what are you guys doing to get more TVL liquidity, as otherwise big guys won't enter if the price impact is too high?
Yeah, so we've been going, you'll notice, all around and kind of supporting the LP tokens even more and more in our ecosystem. We just mentioned how we do a great job for our share token holders and for our bond holders, our Goldmint holders, things like that. But the people who are actually going and providing LP, we set the primary weights for the vaults, or farms, people might call them, in our protocol, where you can get the S Goldmint rewards. You'll see with Silvermint, that the LP providers, both Goldmint, the Goldmint shares, and then even the Silvermint token LP providers during Genesis will be able to kind of restake that LP and get further Silvermint rewards from doing so. So we really do take care of our LP providers. And as Doc brought up earlier, we've seen organic growth over the last few weeks. I don't like to brag, but we are one of the few seniorage protocols that's kind of alive and printing and achieving its purpose and growing and releasing new innovations right now. So I think we're going to be well enabled to kind of do that going forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry, go ahead, Doc.
Thanks, CD. No, I was just going to say, Vu said that organic so far, which is really what we want, rather than have. And I've been one of these angels and been on pre-sales, and then all of a sudden you have people who can pull just everything's great from the start, but then 4 weeks in, 2 weeks in, a whole bunch of liquidity gets pulled, and then things are really difficult. So our organic growth has been really important, I think, to mediate larger trades at this point. Really, it's been route in the Dow, and that's a way that if somebody wants to enter or exit the ecosystem in a larger amount, and they don't want to have a large price impact, then we've been open to OTC arrangements, which end up benefiting the whole protocol, right? So that's really how we've handled that right now in such a low liquidity state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The second point is what are you guys going to do to keep up the daily APR to 1% in PEG?
I mean, it's all up to the investors and the participants for that. We can't control APR in this ecosystem. It's all algorithmically controlled. The most we can do is, for the mint, is increase the amount of tokens that get emitted per epoch, and that could increase your APR in the mint. But that's only going to dilute holders even more and cause more sell pressure. So APRs are all algorithmically controlled. If you want your APR to go up, buy more share tokens and make SGLDM price go up. That'll make the APR go up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and his last one is sorry, go ahead.
I just said good answer. Go ahead.
Yeah. His and the third thing, or the third question, is what are you going to do to avoid the share token to just devaluate or to devaluation, which in the end kills the project?
Yeah, I'm hoping there's no worries there. We've really been working the whole time. I mean, like we discussed a little bit earlier even with what we talked to you about early on about having the Silvermint token instead of being a new project or something to focus on, but something that would depend on the share token. So we're now going to have a great pool for our share token US dollar coin LP providers in the vaults. It pays out a great APR. We're going to have our share token holders able to choose not to do that and to stake in the gold mint, the G mint, and get gold mint tokens whenever we're overpeg. They could also decide not to do that and to stake in the S mint, and get the share, use their shares to get Silvermint tokens. So we're giving them even more and more opportunities, and you can kind of think ahead about the next things that we might do and what's going to play out there. So the share tokens in our ecosystem are going to have use cases well beyond everything we've discussed today. You could ignore everything we've done, and just the future that we'll do with them that's unheard of so far is probably worth it. It's going to keep growing in this fashion where we're going to let that share token support more and more of this ecosystem. So I would have no fear. They can be volatile. People do tend to trade them based on, the health of certain aspects of the protocol. I'm not saying to stake your life savings. This is a DeFi protocol, and it's an experimental one at that. But I'm not expecting those share tokens to have that type of suffering. We're working every day to support those holders just as much as the rest of them.
Yeah, something I'll touch up on too is say that we're not even a quarter way through our mission schedule, and we are 5 months into our protocol. It says a lot because a lot of other protocols, 6 months in, they're halfway through missions and they're trying to figure out what are they going to do for the next 6 months and then after that. And that's the nice thing about what we have is we have so much time that we can continue to grow and build utility and provide more value within the ecosystem. So the protocol will never just stop here at a seniorage protocol or just the second peg. We still have over a year and a half to keep on building for at least the emission schedule, and we're going to keep building even after that. So it's going to be us continuing to provide more utility, more value, and more ways to benefit within the ecosystem and with your tokens. Hopefully, continuing to do that throughout this entire time, providing the value and doing what we're doing will, keep the share token at a good level and not cause people to sell off if we, continue to provide value and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, in regards to not only the share token, but to investors in the protocol, I mean, I personally have seen you guys really try your best to make sure that the protocols are content, and that's something that's really, really important, especially with the rough start that you guys had, unfortunately. I'm really hopeful that now with the peg ratios being properly placed, with Silvermint coming out, that it's going to be good. It's going to be good for sure. For sure.
Yeah, we feel the same way.
Yeah. But I think that pretty much wraps up all the questions. Now, if I did miss any questions, apologize. But you're always, everybody, if you guys have any questions, you guys are always welcome to join the Goldmint Discord and ask your questions there. These guys are active all the time. And of course, you could tag them in our general chat as well if you guys really need to and ask the questions there. Now, Take Profit just says, isn't Guapo the guy that sold some Goldmint under peg? I think that question was for Krypton because he was talking about Guapo, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
Free market. Free market.
People can trade upon.
Yeah, a lot of people sold Goldmint below peg. You know what I mean?
No. I mean,
yeah.
He, I don't want to just put him on the spot and throw him under the bus at all because people are free to do whatever they want to do. This is a free market.
Exactly.
That's why we're in is the sovereignty of everybody's currency, right? I mean, we want to be able to do what we want to do, and it's that simple. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely agree with you. It's a free market at the end of the day. Even me personally, right? When I make investments, I always have a mental risk tolerance or like a stop loss, So it might just be that, right? Where the stop loss was hit and the person takes their money out,
That's exactly right, CD. And that's Guapo's a really good friend of all of ours still, and participates in our ecosystem still, and all of us do. So everybody has their own different investment strategy, and that's something that we all have to accept, right? So and sometimes life calls for everybody. We don't know what happened in people's lives. Maybe they need that money. So we try, at least our team, we don't approach it that way. We're going to just try to do what's most healthy for the protocol and make it as stable as possible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But in regards to questions, I think that's it. There's a bunch of messages and memes. I love it. A wellness world shop. I see you definitely are a memer. You got those memes on lock.
Wellness is a resident of Gold. Wellness is a cool guy. He's awesome. Shout out to Wellness. He helps us run our Twitter Spaces. So we at first we were trying to kind of help our exposure a bit, and this guy Wellness was like, do Twitter Spaces, get on Twitter, do more of this, and sort of like, all right, let's get you on the account and let's get you to help us start doing it. So yeah, he was all on board, and yeah, he helps us out with our Twitter Spaces. So shout out to Wellness down there.
For sure. Shout out to Wellness.
Yeah.
Next one's on Tuesday. 9 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday during Silvermint. I'm sure there'll be some cool stuff going on. Wellness will be hosting as usual. They're a lot of fun. Main Goldmint Twitter account. If you haven't followed us yet, it's probably worth it. We give away, little prizes and things like that every once in a while. Are we doing something here?
Huh?
Are we doing a giveaway here? Do we have something set up?
Yeah. So
to do that?
Yeah, in regards to the giveaway, so we could either even do it right now or we could do it afterwards. But basically what we're going to do is obviously we see the participants. We're going to pick maybe a couple of people from the participants and a couple of people from the questions and figure out what to really give away to them, like best questions and stuff like that. You want to pick, let's do the participants at least right now. How about that? Let's pick 2 people to win something from the people that joined us today. I'm gonna let you guys do this one.
Oh God.
Monkey, use a Twitter picker and a random number for the participants. We'll give away a whitelist spot to both of them. We'll do 2 of the question people as well here, if we want to. I'd like to hit, I don't know how to pronounce the first person, but a yay or whatever. The first question with the 9 in a row is probably a great question. Yeah. Great question asker. Should probably see something there. And then Doc, if you want to pick one or something.
All right, I'm just gonna pick. Can we go by the audience, like what number they are? Like if there's 20 people? Yeah, perfect, good. So 21 is my hockey number. So whoever's number 21, congratulations.
All right, let's see.
There you go.
Monkey, call that out in your set.
21
random numbers than 21. Or CD, you can call out 21.
Yeah, 21. I think that's Duri Binda, if I am counting correctly. Can somebody else count?
4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Yep.
Perfect. All right. So I'm writing these down. Don't worry. So we got Ayush and Duri Binda, and then we'll get on a call later and have a couple of people from the best questions and give away some of that money for all those people that are, because I did get a DM about the giveaways. So I just want to quickly touch upon that. As Vu just mentioned, we are having a giveaway. And for the rest of the winners, it will be in the giveaway channel. If you look on the left side, once again, on the Discord, you'll see a channel called giveaways. That's where, once I have compiled the list of the winners and exactly how much we're giving away to each individual, or like a whitelist or whatever we're giving away, at that time, what I will be doing is tagging the winners in the giveaway channel. And yeah, that's how we're going to proceed with that. Now, in regards to the remainder of the AMA, do you guys have any concluding statements, anything that you guys would like to say to the 30 people listening right now before we conclude our AMA?
Yeah, there's actually one thing this guy, Red Snapper, brought up here, but we have a buy contest going on for Goldman and S Goldman right now. So let me just go to the details so I don't mess up any of the exact details. But real quick, it is enter your chance to win 10 shares, 2 Goldman, and 1 NFT. There's going to be 2 winners that'll each win both that prize. So like 2 winners will both get 10 shares, 2 Goldman, and 1 NFT. All you have to do is buy Goldman or S Goldman. The buy has to be $500 or greater, and it can be in multiple transactions. It started on Friday, early morning Friday, and it ends on today, actually, later tonight, where I'm going to be finalizing and picking everything. So yeah, if you want to get in and maybe get some free tokens, make a buy of 500 or multiple buys that equal up to 500 or more, send the transaction or open a ticket in our server, and we'll get you in on it.
Awesome. I love that. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, everybody, for joining. Thank you to the audience, everybody listening. Of course, Doc, Cripzom, Vu, Monkey, you guys were a pleasure. You're always a pleasure to talk to, and of course, it was a pleasure today as well.
Hell yeah! Thanks for having
us, CD. This is awesome.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, CD.
Hey, no problem. We're going to conclude the AMA here, so I'm going to disconnect, and as soon as I do, the AMA is going to close fully. Thank you, everybody, once again for participating. The recording of this AMA will be on YouTube, hopefully soon, hopefully within the next day or two, and I will try to get the MP3 file on the Discord as soon as possible. I hope you guys have an amazing week coming up, and with that being said, let's get that back.
Thanks, CD. See y'all later.